This update is delivered by Black Tie Moving. I'm Nick Keyser. The Nashville Predators end their 11-day road trip tonight against the Winnipeg Jets. Right here on your home for the Preds on The Game. Pre-game at 6 and puck drop at 7. Head coach Andrew Brunette joined Robbie and Rexrode this morning to discuss tonight's first divisional game as head coach.
And it was a little bit disappointing coming off a big win in Edmonton and slipping down a step. So really good response yesterday in practice and really excited for tonight. I think the end of a long road trip. Let's get a big win and go back home and try to make some traction at home.
And Thursday Night Football features the Chicago Bears and Carolina Panthers with kickoff at 7:15 on Prime Video. Quarterback Tyson Bagent is to start tonight over Justin Fields since he is still not cleared to play. And the MTSU men's basketball squad takes on Stephen F. Austin tonight at 6 p.m. in Murfreesboro. Catch the action over on 93.3 Classic Hits as the Blue Raiders play Game 2 of 5 at home to start the regular season. This update has been delivered by Black Tie Moving. Use the promo code GAME to score 10% off of your next move.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
And a score!
You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board.
Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Let me talk to you. Talking what's important to Nashville.
Sweet mother of God, what is the holdup?
This is the Chase and Big Joe Show.
Well, Lottie frickin' God!
With Chase McCabe and Big Joe Dubin. Brought to you by Regal Realty Group.
Good, great, grand, wonderful.
We're here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
And a good Thursday, everybody. Welcome in Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe, Big Joe Dubin with you. Hope you're having an awesome start to your day. Nick Frazier, Dr. Crane on the ones and twos, as always. As hard to believe, it's already Thursday, eyeing the weekend. Big college football weekend. Got the Titans and the Bucks as well. The Predators finally return home, so looking forward to that. JoJo,
what's happening,
good morning.
man?
How are you?
Good. I'm running about 30 minutes sleep. It's all good, though, man.
Well, yeah, you had to work the red carpet last night at the CMAs, and so many people were there. I know your buddy Peyton Manning was there. I saw a lot of people hanging out with him last night at the CMAs, and I know you had a good time.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was not one of those hanging out. Peyton and I have a kind of a checkered past together, so we just –
I see what you did there.
It's it's best that we just wave at each other from afar and then go about our separate ways, so that's good.
I think you're still mad at him from a few years ago when he said he was going to introduce you to Joe D. Messina, and he did, but it was a different Joe D. Messina. So.
It was a very different Joe D. Messina, and he still laughs about it, and he thinks it's funny, and it's not funny, but it is funny.
Yeah. No, it's pretty funny.
Yeah,
but.
so it's just best that we just wave at each other and go our separate ways.
So what was the whole experience like? You worked the red carpet for the Nashville Predators.
It was simply fantastic. There were I laughed, Chase, because there's a lot of media outlets there that you've never heard of. It's like that they came up with the name of their media outlet the day of, and it's like the Chase and Ricky show. Where are you guys located? We're all around. We're on the internet, and so there's a lot of different people there that show up. But I mean, they were all nice. It was fun. It was a good time. We spent a lot of time. It's funny, they were whisking Jelly Roll down the red carpet, and so I stood in the red carpet and blocked his way, and I said, I need you. And he's like, I know you, but he doesn't know me. He just he doesn't know me. He just knows my face. And we came over, and I said, hey, we got to talk Nashville Predators, and he spent probably 5 minutes talking about the Nashville Predators and how they helped him with the toy drive and about just, his message and everything, and his publicist was furious. But
Who is this?
Jelly Roll.
Oh, yeah. Jelly Roll's awesome, man.
And he just kept
talking.
talking.
That guy is so cool.
And then so he said, where'd you go to high school? I said, I went to McGavick. He's like, I went to Antioch, and my younger brother went to McGavick. And I when he mentioned his name, I know him, but I don't know him. And then Jalen Rose said, yeah, he's a real piece of blank, and then just went about his way. But he was great, man. I mean, it's just his story is simply fantastic, and he won the award last night, I think, for best new male vocalist or new artist or whatever. But he's a good dude, man, and he kind of got a little emotional talking about the toy drive and how some parents came up to him and said, hey, we're not going to have anything, and now because of you, we're going to have something. So he's the real deal. I mean, you could tell. I mean, we've dealt with ungenuine people in our career, and that dude's 100% real.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. He did our golf tournament the first year we did it, and I think it was one of those things that, he was going to play, and then he wasn't. He was going to just make an appearance, and he hung out all day. He went to all the groups, was buying drinks and everything. Just
Great.
super, super cool, just a laid-back guy. And so I'm happy to see his success. I'll tell you another thing that, I didn't go last night, but I kept seeing all these pictures of people with Nate Bargatze, including you. You talked to him on the red carpet.
Yeah.
Sean Ford, our GM, got to meet him and talk to him. And, Nate's star is like as bright as it can be right now, but you wouldn't know it by talking to him.
Well, he was running late, and we were wrapping up, and he came by, and I was like, hey, Nate Bargatze. And so we laughed because he grew up in Donaldson, Hermitage, Old Hickory. And
now, do you two know each other?
In a roundabout way. We're not like besties, but we know, kind of, right? So
yeah.
We were talking and said, I have to, Mike Organ says, I have to give up the title of Mr. Donaldson, Hermitage, Old Hickory to you. And he said, I'll gladly take that. And then he was like, well, Mike should have that honor. And I said, no, we're not going to give Mike Organ any praise. It's going to be you and me. But it's funny because he was running late, but he made all the time with us. And I said, Nate, I said, are you still doing comedy? Because I haven't heard anything about you in 6 months. And he started laughing. He's like, the last 10 days, I don't know what's happened. And that's so he did Saturday Night Live. He spent a week in New York, did Saturday Night Live, and then he did College Game Day. In between that, I think he said he had 6 sold-out shows in Chicago. So he did a show Friday night in Chicago, left Chicago 6 o'clock in the morning, flew to Tuscaloosa, did College Game Day, flew back to Chicago, landed at 2:30, had a show at 4 that afternoon. I was like, my goodness. So he was great, man, just to talk to him. And I think he is like us. He's like, why am I here? It's really
right.
Yeah, like I'm not sure why I'm here. I'm not sure I belong here. I'm not sure I'm here. But it was a fun night for the city. I wanted to talk, like Corey Seager came down, right? And then,
oh, nice.
But couldn't talk to him. I mean, they whisked him away. I'm like, why are you doing that? Like, well, he's got to go. I'm like, where's he going? I mean, it's 6 o'clock. Where could he possibly go on it? They had to be in their seats by 6:45. So I tried to grab him, and I couldn't do it. But it was nice. There was what was really cool was talking to I think his name's Riley Green. He's a singer.
Yeah.
So he played quarterback at Jacksonville State. And once you get somebody like that talking about football, he wouldn't shut up. I mean, that's
awesome.
It was fun talking to him about football and playing football in Alabama and different plays and all that stuff. So that was good. So it was a fun night. And I really thank Bob Cole and the Nashville Predators and Sean Henry for allowing me to do that. And we're going to do a bunch of stuff that's going to be airing on Bally's and the in game during intermission, things like that. The best question though that we got from a viewer, one of our listeners said, "I'd like for you to ask anybody that comes by," because we solicited viewer questions, and the best one was to ask anybody who came by the red carpet, have you ever been in a fight at Waffle House at 3 a.m.? And I got to tell you, man, some of the Mitchell Tenpenny had a great – I mean, it was the answers were fantastic. And then after that, we had some hockey questions. We asked, people down the red carpet, what is icing, what's a hat trick, and what's a power play?
Nice.
And it was great. Some of the answers you got, even from the guys who had no idea, were simply fantastic. So it was a fun night.
I thought it was cool. Did you see Alan Jackson at all?
I did not. I did not see Mr. Jackson. They skipped the red carpet.
Well, I thought it was cool that he was a part of the Jimmy Buffett tribute, which was so well done.
It was, and I tell you, we've talked about getting starstruck all the time, and I very rarely get starstruck. But something about when Mac McAnally walked by last night, and I grabbed him. I said, "Hey, I need to talk to you." He's like, "Yeah, sure." And we talked for 5-6 minutes, and just about Jimmy Buffett. And he's like, I had a front seat with him for 40 years, and I miss him. He's still with me. It was spiritual talking to Mac McAnally. I mean, the guy could possibly be one of the most talented musicians of all time, and just talking to him about what Buffett meant to him and what about Nashville and everything, and the vibe and the Parrot Heads and everything. And he talked about he's going to do the duet with Kenny Chesney, and it was just, it's Mac McAnally. I was just overtaken by that. Weird.
So, growing up in Nashville, and this, that you have the Nashville moments and everything. So where I went to school, FRA, a lot of, country music stars' kids went there and everything. And so Mac's kids went there.
Did they?
Yeah. And I went to elementary school with them too at St. Paul. And,
wow.
So Mac did like a free show or something for all of us one time. And like a lot of my friends and everything are like, who is this guy? Don't even know. Didn't know anything about him.
Right.
Like, that's Mac McAnally. He's played with Jimmy Buffett forever. He's the leader of the Coral Reefer Band. He is the Coral Reefer Band. Like, I was all excited, and he, like you said, he was humble and nice. And when I met him, I he's obviously a very famous songwriter and musician and stuff. And,
yeah.
And when I met him, I wanted to talk Jimmy Buffett. That's what I cared about.
Well, that's the thing is like, he goes, I know what my role, I know what the role is. I know what my goal is for the rest of my life here on earth is to keep spreading that message. And I got to tell you, he has the best head of hair I think I've ever seen on a man. I mean, it's just
good.
Thick and flowing. And I was like, I would love, he goes, it's a lot to take care of. I'm like, I would gladly do it every single day if I had that full head of hair.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, look, CMA's country music is very important to our city, and, it's fun to talk about. And, hey, congrats to Lainey Wilson walking away with it last night. That was awesome. She deserves it. For those of you that follow the country music scene, I look at her as kind of a throwback to the good old days, and so that's awesome that she had such a big night. But glad you had fun, JoJo.
It was. What was weird, too, is that I was like 2 feet away from Post Malone, and he's lost all this weight, and I thought he was like a gaffer, like he was like helping, putting the carpet down. I had no idea that was Post Malone. Somebody said, hey, that's Post Malone. I was like, where? He's like, 2 feet from me. I was like, oh, okay. I had no idea. It's just weird. You see him on TV and you see him in person. They look almost completely different.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, coming up next, we will dive into the Titans and as they prepare for Tampa Bay. Also, Greg Wyshynski going to join us at the bottom of the hour, talk some hockey with him. We're up and running here on the Chase and Big Joe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, live and local from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. When you want the national
Hey. I got this. I'll take it from here.
Okay, go ahead. Dying to hear this.
We have the best national voices that you'll find anywhere.
Who was more deserving of being thrown from their game?
I'm odd, so I get the odd picks.
They have a new coaching staff.
It's not a bad scenario for them.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
And 94.9 The Fan.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. It's getting colder quickly, and a lot of you are probably firing up the heater for the first time this season. If your system is older or having lots of issues keeping your home warm already, it's probably time for an HVAC replacement. There's no better time to replace your system than right now. Hiller is having their biggest sale ever on select HVAC systems. Get up to $2,600 off a new system until November 15th. This is the biggest discount they've had in years. That's Hiller. Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Hi, this is Brad Hopkins, two-time Pro Bowler and former tackle of the Tennessee Titans. When I played, I worked hard to train my body, eat right, and practice to make sure I was prepared for game day. That's what vaccines and boosters do for your immune system, to keep you healthy, and why I chose to get vaccinated and boosted. Preparation keeps you game ready and reduces risk. Talk to your doctor. Make sure you're up to date on all your shots, and get the information you need to make an informed choice. Gear up, Tennessee. Find a shot near you by visiting vaccines.gov today.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad.
No problem, sweetie.
I can't believe you're able to fit everything in that little sedan.
Bye!
When they move out, you can move on to a house that fits your life. It's time to live in a space that fits your family.
Let Regal Realty Group get you into a home that is less to take care of. Save money or even make money on the sale of your current home.
Get more info at regalrg.com.
Get ready for a magical holiday experience at Belle Meade Historic Site and Winery. Join us for our free holiday open house Thursday, November 16th from 5 till 8 p.m. Meet Santa and Mrs. Claus, tour our enchanting mansion, and delight in holiday crafts and activities for the whole family. Treat yourself with our renowned wines and bourbon from Belle Meade Winery and savor foods from the Belle Meade Meat and 3. Let's create cherished memories that will last a lifetime at Belle Meade Historic Site and Winery. Only 7 miles from downtown Nashville. Reserve online at visitbelmeade.com.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 1025 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
In any work environment, culture is the most important thing. And what makes up the culture? The people. Hey, this is General Manager Sean Ford with Cromwell Media. And this month, we have several celebrating their anniversary working with us. From our sales department, Nicola Spencer is celebrating 19 years. From engineering, Ted and Holly, 13 years. And Willie Donick with 1025 The Game is celebrating 12 years with us at Cromwell Media. If you're looking for a new career, reach out to us at together@cromwellmedia.com. Love what you do, love where you work.
So let me just kind of clear up some things here going forward. We're going to go with Will. We think that's the best opportunity for our football team.
Finally! You can all calm down.
Well, whether this is fair of me or not, I feel relieved.
Everything we're doing, we're trying to do in the best interest of the football team.
But it does bring a sense of energy. Keep it locked to Nashville's best Titans talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to the Chase and Big Joe Show, brought to you by Regal Realty Group.
I got a hot date tonight. Hot date. Dinner with Fred. Dinner alone. Watching TV alone. All right. I'm going to sit at home and ogle the ladies in the Victoria's Secret catalog. Sears catalog.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Your feeling, I guess, when Mike told you the news, and anything changed for you as far as how you have approached things really over the last couple of weeks?
No. I mean, the news didn't change anything. It was cool to hear that, and to see it become official, but it doesn't change really much how I'm approaching things.
That was Will Levis yesterday when he addressed the media. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. As Will Levis will be the starting quarterback moving forward for the Titans. We've been talking about it since Mike Vrabel made the news earlier this week. Ryan Tannehill also speaking yesterday. But Joe, I was curious, always curious in things like this. When the young guy talks and how he handles it. I thought he handled himself very, very well. Wasn't really surprised by that. I know that so much has been made about the pre-draft and his shirtless pictures and kind of being a little bit cocky and stuff like that.
Cares.
That, to me, none of that's shown up here, and I think he's been nothing but a pro.
Do you not want a quarterback who's confident? I mean, do you want somebody
Yeah,
who's
of course
I don't
I do.
know if I'm going to win. I don't know. I want a quarterback who says, you know what? I'm going to put 10 guys on my back, and we're going to fight like hell, and we're going to go down to the final buzzer, and I'm going to carry this team and all that good stuff. Or do you want somebody? I'm going to go in here. Like Mariota was not a leader. Was very, and you could tell that he didn't like that role of being a leader. I think Will Levis, the more confidence he gets going forward, will become that leader and that guy who says, "Yeah, all right, guys, on my back, we're going to do this and go forward." So I dig it. I really like his attitude so far and what he's doing.
And then on the other side of it, you had Ryan Tannehill also address the media, and here was Tannehill when asked about learning the news.
Oh, it hits hard. I mean, never been in this situation before, so it hits hard. Never a situation that anyone wants to be in, but it's the situation I'm in, so got to walk through it.
That's about what you'd expect, but I think he's handled it well.
I'm sure he has.
He gets it. It's a business, and honestly, like, it's one of those things that it's not entirely a reflection of him. Like, I don't think that this move is really being made because Ryan Tannehill is this awful quarterback. It's just the offense hasn't been working. You had an opportunity to see the guy that you drafted 33rd overall and have basically dubbed as the quarterback of the future, or that's what you would like him to be. And because, you're 3-5 and you're at the point where something's got to give, then you got to make that change. And so while that is, yes, Tannehill shares some of that responsibility, it's not all on him, and that is what, that's just where this is.
Well, I mean, what do you expect him to do? I mean, just lay over? He's got a good attitude. He's professional. And don't bring to the table, I've heard this a lot, well, he's made $195 million. I
hate that.
You know what? He is that his goal when he was in 8th grade to play football to make $100 million? No, I mean, you play for the love of the game, and the fact that he should be upset he lost his job, but the fact he says he's going to be a good good teammate and go forward, that's fine. That's what you want to hear, and not cause a division, not be the Chris Chandler to the Steve McNair back in the mid-'90s, which really caused a rift in the football team. I think Ron will be a professional and go forward.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Sanders has talked about that quite a bit, because, I mean, Chris Chandler, for all practical purposes, hated Steve McNair and wasn't going to help him at all.
Nope, not at all.
And but how'd that work out for him? But
he went to the Super Bowl with the Falcons in '98. That's all right.
That's true, and lost.
Right, he did.
Dean in Old Hickory brings this up. Can we stop shaming Titans fans for wanting Tannehill gone? He did himself no favors in way of enduring himself to Nashville. We love our sports figures. He did the same thing in Miami. They couldn't wait to get rid of him. He ran out of town after the Cincinnati playoff loss and never fully took responsibility. And then he asked if he got benched in Miami too. No, he didn't. But I look, Dean, I understand, and I think that Dean is a part of the group that they decided after that playoff loss they were done with Tannehill and you weren't going to change their mind, and that's fine. That's okay. You can have that thought, but I'm gonna disagree. I think he did endure himself to Nashville. He did some charitable things, working with the humane shelters and stuff. And he and his wife have been here. I know they go to Miami some, but they've been around, quite a bit. So I'm not gonna say that he didn't endure himself to Nashville. And whether you want to believe this or not, he's the second best quarterback to wear a Titans uniform.
Agreed.
They have been here.
Agreed, 100%.
And I get it that it's not a long history and it's not a long list. And, the hope is Will Levis, shatters all of that. I mean, the hope is that Will Levis turns out to be better than the late, great Steve McNair. I mean, that's what you strive for is, you want to break all those records and, hopefully he can be the one that, gets them over the hump and leads them to a Super Bowl championship. But, I'm not – like, there's no shaming of Titans fans. You can have your opinion, but I disagree with it. I think that Tannehill did a lot of good things, and it's just simply time to make the change.
I totally agree, and we lose the fact of what he did in 2019. Again, and not to belabor the point, but I say it all the time, Marcus Mariota was awful. And that Denver Broncos game in 2019, he was absolutely awful, and it was time to get rid of him. And the argument is, well, he was a nice guy, and great locker room guy. We've told you what Terry Chris said about when somebody tells that he's a great locker room guy. Great, keep him in the locker room. And so Mariota was a nice guy, and that's fine. But Tannehill came in and after the Denver game, took over this team, led him to the AFC Championship, and the Bengals playoff game that's going to sting for probably ever. But the fact he got that team back up where nobody expected him to go, and it's great. Now Levis' turn to take over this team, and the most important game right now in Tennessee Titans history is this Sunday because it's the next game, and it's against the Buccaneers. And so you go down and beat a team that you should be able to beat. You're 4-5, then you go to Jacksonville next week. Who says you don't knock off both these teams and you're 5-5 and looking pretty good? And we talked about this, Chase, about before Tannehill took over, Levis took over. And we got all these people. I don't think it's time. He's going to get injured behind the offensive line. And our thing was, what if he comes in and is simply fantastic? And he was against the Falcons and did a great job. And I thought he played his butt off against Pittsburgh with zero help. So let's hope he goes down there to Tampa Bay, lights it up, and they come back 4-5.
I feel like this is a winnable game for them. And they got to win. They have to win one on the road. Like, I don't think people understand how truly important of just a momentum changer that can be for them, because right now they're probably in their own heads of like, well, we can only win at Nissan Stadium. We can't win in London. We can't win on the road. But you go down to Tampa and you win that game, like even if it's like 17-14, doesn't matter. Win's a win. Just go get the win. And he doesn't have to ball out like he did against Atlanta. Just have if he played pretty much similar to how he played against Pittsburgh, but, you obviously add some touchdowns to it, then they probably win the game. Like, just be a field general. Control the game. You're not asking him to do too much. Now, I do agree, Paul Kuharsky said this yesterday, that you got to let him throw. You're like, don't just completely rely on Derrick Henry in the run game. Make that a complementary piece for it. Establish the run where you can use play action and all of that, but the kid's got an arm, and he's accurate, so let him throw it down the field.
I totally agree. And, let him go and see what he can do and have fun with it. Look, football is evolving, right? So what's the rage in high school? It's 7-on-7, okay? And that started about 10 years ago, and that's when Will Levis was coming up. Guys want to catch the ball. Guys want to be spotlighted. Guys want to be highlighted. People want to play receiver now. Guys want to throw it deep. And I get it. It'll come full circle again in probably 5 to 7 years. We'll start running the football. It'll be the big thing in the NFL. But right now, it's throwing the football down the field and making things happen. I mean, you got all these great receivers. Well, you got a bunch of receivers on the team. I'm not going to say great, but, they work their butts off. But that's the thing now is these receivers want to get out and play, and the quarterback wants – look, what's the old Braves thing in the 90s? What was that commercial? The
chicks dig the long ball.
There you go. Yeah.
Yep.
So, chicks dig the long pass, and that's exactly – and so do a lot of the guys watching football. So I say air it out. Have fun on Sunday. You talk about – I remember all my coaches like, let's go out and have fun. I'm like, I'm sweating. I'm tired, and, we're losing. How am I going to have fun? But when you flip that switch to having fun, then it becomes a whole different ballgame. And just go out Sunday and have fun.
Yeah, that's exactly what they have to do. A couple texts to get to before Greg Wyshynski joins us. Dylan says, Aaron Rodgers has an attitude, but he's got the talent to back it up, and the players want to follow him.
Yep.
If Will Levis can do the same thing, then there shouldn't be a problem with his attitude. Leaders need to be confident. 100% agree. And
yeah.
He also says, I actually love Ryan Tannehill. Again, a lot of people must forget about the quarterback play we had here before him. We can go through that if you'd like. He brought stability and winning seasons as well as a great attitude, and the team loved him. You don't judge Anderson Silva off the fight that he lost, so why should we judge Ryan Tannehill off one single game out of an amazing Titans career? That's a fantastic text.
It is. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it is. And, and it burns him. And, look, the fact that he took off for a while after that loss, I mean, it means he cares. I mean, he said he was in a dark place for a while. I mean, I get it.
Yeah, now I do agree. Like, I did kind of burn him of like, hey, you need to step in front of the cameras and kind of face the music.
Why?
Because
that's your narrative?
No, that's leadership. If you're the leader of the team, and the quarterback is, whether they want to be or not, but the quarterback is the leader of the team, and the team lost because of you, like, I am a firm believer in you face the music.
Did he not speak after the game?
No.
Okay. I thought he spoke. Okay, well, I agree with you on that.
If he did, it was brief, and it was like in front of his locker, but I don't think so. I can't remember, but I'm one of those, like, if I make a mistake, like, I'm going to face it. And so that was – there's 2 years in a row that, like, the season ends and he – but and he was hurt last year, I get. But, like, I that's my only gripe with him. But, like, I haven't completely written him off because of that. I actually think he was having a pretty good year, bounce-back year, before he got hurt. So, but people are going to have their opinions, and you know this. You can't change certain people's opinions.
No, you can't. And, again, he can look himself in the mirror and said, I gave everything for this football team that I possibly had. You're good to go.
We'll get to more of this later on in the show. But coming up next, the Predators back in action tonight. They'll take on the Winnipeg Jets. We'll say hello to Greg Wyshynski from ESPN. Talk some hockey with him every Thursday at 9:30. We'll do that next. It's Chase and Big Joe here on a Thursday, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
If it's important to Nashville,
I'll put it out right now.
It's important to Jared Stillman.
Like, that's it.
He's not afraid to ask the tough questions.
Something is going on, and the question is, what does it mean?
Or give the strong opinion.
And just needed the bozo offensive coordinator to stop ruining the quarterback.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's the Electronic Express Black Friday Savings Marathon. Every Sunday means hot new deals. Get the gifts you want and save up to 50% throughout the entire store. Get the Samsung 75-inch 4K TV only $649, plus other hot deals. At Electronic Express, dream big, pay small with up to 36 months free financing on items like a Samsung French door refrigerator only $13.99, or an Acer laptop now only $199. Shop the Black Friday Savings Marathon at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Need cash for the holidays or want to be credit card debt free for the new year? Call Loan Pronto today. Their Express Equity line of credit could get you $20, $50, $100,000 in as little as 5 days. Willie Donick here. Listen up. You've got a ton of equity in your home, and Loan Pronto can help turn that equity into cash to put it to use. You can access up to 95% of your home's value. Use the money to pay off all your credit cards or pay off personal loans. Start the home improvement project you've been looking for. You can get the money you need now and still keep your primary mortgage intact, so your 3% rate is protected. Call right now, 615-499-5780. Get the holiday cash you need or pay off all those credit cards. 615-499-5780 or go online at loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Hey Nashville, ready for a leap back in time this Veterans Day? Join the Kiwanis Club at Centennial Park for a World War I Remembrance Spectacular. Hear from Kem Hinton, Colonel Stephen Todd, and veteran advocate Jennifer O'Neill. We're gathered at the Mother Monument November 11th, 1 p.m. Experience history with a World War I camp reenactment by the 9th Kentucky Infantry. And yes, there will be food trucks. Honor, remember, and celebrate with us this Saturday, 1 p.m. The Kiwanis Club of Nashville, serving our community since 1916.
Genesis Diamond's biggest and last sale of the year is coming. November 17th through 19th. It's an extraordinary event with savings of 20, 30, up to 35% store-wide. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets. Nothing's held back for this once-a-year, 3-day store-wide sale. Acclaimed designers will be flying in with expanded collections and special pricing. Plus, get 0% interest financing. Luxury pre-owned Rolexes are also included. Lab-grown diamonds, too. Discounts up to 35%. Genesis Diamond. November 17th through 19th only. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
The all-new ESPN Radio Morning Show, Unsportsmanlike.
At what point are we going to acknowledge that Josh Allen is a great quarterback, but Josh Allen is also an overrated quarterback?
Chris Canty, Evan Cohen, and Michelle Smallman.
20 years running into guys that are my size. Does it sound like fun?
Chris, Evan, and Michelle.
Nobody can work the room like Coach Prime. Nope. And the people that like it are going to love it. People that hate it, they're going to hate him even more.
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday morning starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
This year, Staples wants everyone to have a happy Holla deal. That's right, Holla Deal. Staples Holla Deals are amazing savings on hot holiday tech. Great prices on laptops, game systems, earbuds, and more. And now at Staples, you can save up to $300 on select PCs. During Staples Holla Deals, it's not about the fa-la-la. It's about saving moo-la-la. Save up to $300 on select PCs today at Staples. Ends 11/11 in-store only. See associate for details.
I'm sorry, excuse me 1 second. Hello?
Hey, we'd love to hear from you.
Oh, gee, I can't talk right now. Why don't you give me your home number and I'll call you later?
615-737-1025.
Oh, I guess you don't want people calling you at home.
Sponsored by Wilson County Hyundai.
Chase and Big Joe are on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe, Big Joe Dubin with you. Every Thursday at 9:30, we say hello to Greg Wyshynski from ESPN, talking NHL with him. Greg, good morning. How are you?
Doing well. Can't complain. Because I'm not a Canadian fan, so I can't complain. It seems like every time I turn around, there's another fan base up there losing their minds. I was thinking about this the other night. Every single team in that country right now has some level of drama or panic, except for Montreal. Montreal is just chilling. They're like, we stink. We'll be good eventually. But everybody else has just got owners spouting off and defenses failing and putting goalies on waivers and all kinds of stuff.
It's a mess, but it's also entertaining at the same time. Before we get into all that, congratulations to you as you've re-upped with ESPN, going to be there for a while. I assume this is a one-way deal to keep you there at ESPN, but congratulations. That's awesome.
I appreciate it. And it's funny, the folks at one of the salary cap sites reached out to me to congratulate me, and they asked me for details of my new contract. And I said, you don't have to worry. Disney is still very much cap compliant based on how much they're paying me for the next few years. They are not over the cap. I can promise you that.
That's good. Well, look, that was the second biggest piece of news that came out of the NHL. The first was the San Jose Sharks finally won a game. It was quite the moment. I was working the Predators game, and I was keeping up with it, and I was like, this is actually going to happen. And now they find themselves 1-10-1 on the season. When is the parade?
It might be tonight if they can beat the Oilers, because then they'd be tied in points with Edmonton, that in the basement of the league. I affectionately referred to it in my column today as the rumble of the bungled tonight between the Oilers and the Predators, or the Oilers and the Sharks, rather. So, the thing about San Jose that's interesting is that, like, we all knew that they'd be terrible, like, and by design. Like, it's clear that they're tanking. They have to re-energize that fan base. They have to kind of refocus the franchise. There are some players at the top of next year's draft that are going to be real good, and I think, fit that purpose. But the problem is that their GM, Mike Greer, I think went a little like mad scientist in a sci-fi movie, where he's looking out the window at the creature he created marauding the countryside and being like, my God, what have I done? Because this is a special kind of bad. Like, there are going to be nights when they get good goaltending and a little itch of pride infects the veterans on the team, and they win games like they did the other night against the Flyers. But for the most part, this is a really bad hockey team, just inept, can't do anything right, and is going to be definitely counted amongst one of the worst teams ever assembled in the modern NHL era, I think, by the end of the season.
Greg Wyshynski is with us from ESPN. Now, you bring up the Edmonton Oilers and the fact that they're sitting there with 5 points at 2-8-1, 11 games into the season. They have the best player in the NHL, or really two of the best players in the NHL, and for whatever reason, they can't seem to get it going. The Predators beat them the other day 5-2. It feels like panic is setting in, and yet I continue to find myself going, they're going to figure this out. If they can just get some good goaltending play, they're going to figure this out, and then they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. But do you feel like that's actually the case?
Of course I do. I picked them to win the Cup, so it can't be this embarrassing to have them finish like behind the Sharks. No, so the reason why you feel that way is the reason why a lot of people feel that way. I was talking to an NHL insider at Red Wings practice the other day, and he said to me, look, out of all the teams that are outside the playoffs right now, they're the only one that you look at and be like, oh, they won 10 games in a row. They're right back in it. Like, you could see that happening, and the reason is because we've seen it happen. They won like 16 of 19 games to end the season last year. Like, this is a team that can get on that kind of roll, that can have Connor and Leon carry them, and then if they get, like you said, any semblance of competent goaltending, they could put together and stack wins and get back into this thing. The problem with them, as McDavid pointed out the other day, it truly is a death by 1,000 cuts team. Like, every time they lose, it seems to be a different thing malfunctioning. They get good goaltending, they don't score. They score, they get terrible defense. We've had 5 ways to fix the Oilers on our podcast that dropped this week, and one of them is simply to try to get McDavid going. And he's got 10 points in 9 games, which is great for a lot of players, but not for Connor McDavid. And if you look inside the numbers, he's still creating. He's the number 1 player in the league in assists that lead to shots, but he's like 182nd in primary assists, which tells you this guy is creating things for his line mates. They're just not doing anything with that creation. And so, the shooting percentages increase. Connor starts piling on the points. Like, there is a path for this team to get back into contention. But this start, if they lose to San Jose tonight, the conversation probably starts to come to, do we make a big trade? Do we fire the coach? I mean, that's kind of how dire it is right now.
Greg, you're talking about your podcast, and this question always gets I love to ask this. You talk about, fixing a certain team and doing this and doing that. Do you ever do that and hear from somebody within the organization who remains anonymous and says, hey, you know what, you're right about that, or I'm going to, run by the assistant GM and tell him that? You ever hear that?
I hear it occasionally more in my writing, I think, than on the podcast. Like, the writing is usually in these columns. It's covering the entire league. It's kind of theorizing things. It's putting stuff out into the world and seeing if it comes to fruition. And occasionally I'll hear from people on teams to be like, that's funny. We had that exact same conversation behind closed doors recently. Or, you know what, if that happened, that'd be really great. I don't know if it's going to come to fruition. So first of all, it makes you feel good because the right people are reading your stuff.
Sure.
But second of all, it's fun to think about, people, hitting on something that's already being discussed somewhere in these organizations. And the other part of it too, obviously, is that like a lot of the things that I say and do is informed speculation. You talk to a lot of people that don't necessarily want to go on the record about some of this stuff. And then you get a chance to kind of like share those ideas and contribute a couple things of your own. So you're, in some cases, you kind of maybe know what's going on, but then you're like interpreting it and trying to figure out what it really means.
It's funny. They'll never admit that they read your column or anything, right? They'll never admit that you've got any kind of inside information that they'll know ever.
Well, they do when they want to butter you up. then it's like they're trying to make sure that you're writing something positive, and they're like, big fan of your work, read it every week, and you're like, okay, that's great. But no, I know for a fact every year that somebody does read or is aware of my stuff, because when I make my preseason pick on who's going to win the cup, I text the GM to let him know, to give him the heads up that I'm selecting his team and pretty much cursing them. And so when I picked the Oilers at the beginning of the season, I texted Ken Holland and I'm like, hey, I'm going to pick your team again to win the cup. And his response was, oh boy.
Gee, thanks. Well done. I know, Greg, that you picked the Predators to make the playoffs this year. I mean, they're sitting right there with 10 points. Are they where you expect them to be right now, or a little bit behind where you thought they might be?
They're a little bit behind. Honestly, I really thought that their offense would be a little bit kicked into more of a higher gear at this point than it is right now. Last check, I think they're in sort of the bottom third in the league in goals per game, in a league where, you have teams just piling on the goals every night in this league right now. And obviously, the modus operandi for hiring Andrew Brunette was to try to make this team play fast and get results. And, in the times I've seen them, I've been really impressed with the speed with which they play. Like, I think that they certainly are kind of adopting that mindset that Brunette preached in Florida and preached in New Jersey in his previous stops. The problem might be that they simply don't have the finishers quite yet to kind of actualize that type of offense. And, that was actually a problem with the Devils before Brunette got there, which is that they played with speed, they played with pace, they like to get up and down the ice, but it wasn't until, Jack Hughes matured and they added a few other guys, Timo Meier and players like that, to where they could really start to finish off those chances they create. So that might be the issue for the Predators right now, because in the times I've seen them, I have liked the way they played. It's just they're not getting the results offensively.
We had Ryan O'Reilly on the show yesterday, Greg, and just, talk about his leadership and his career in the league. How valuable is he to a team like this where there's so many young guys?
Oh, he's huge. And I mean, that was, I think, the intangible reason why they made that signing, was to have somebody who could, not only fill the void at center that was created by some of the offseason moves, but somebody who was going to be able to be the right kind of leader in the locker room for a team that was going to go a little bit younger. And obviously also a guy who still has a ton left in the tank, offensively and defensively, where he's been one of the better players in the league for like the last decade. So, I thought a lot of us were surprised, only because I think that the common wisdom was that O'Reilly would have been a perfect second line center on a cup contending team. But to get the ice time that he's getting and to get the compensation that he got, and to live in the area that he was going to live in, I think a lot of things really made sense when you take a step back and look at that deal. And I think he fits well into what they're building there, insofar as being a mentor and a leader to these young players.
Yeah, for sure, and they're back in action tonight. Hard to believe it's their first division game, as they'll take on Winnipeg tonight. But we're looking forward to that. Greg, appreciate it as always. Congrats again, my friend, and we'll do it again next week.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Greg Wyshynski, ESPN, joins us every Thursday at 9:30.
Chase,
here on the program. Yo,
I had some really informative questions this time.
You did. That was good.
I'm getting better at this, and I'm so proud. Even Dr. Crane gave me the thumbs up behind the glass. All right, so I know we got to take a break, But for those that don't know, today in history was a critical, crucial, wonderful day for Tennessee Volunteers football. If you don't remember what I'm talking about, I'm going to bring it up when we come back, Chase.
Okay, we call that a tease. We'll do that coming up next. Chase and Big Joe, presented by Regal Realty Group here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Vanderbilt basketball lives here.
Hey, it's Kevin Ingram. Join Tim Thompson and me for Friday Night Hoops as Vanderbilt takes on USC Upstate. Pre-game at 5:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
West Coast Taco Shop features some of the best California-style Mexican food. And this week, you can try it for half off with Nashville's best deal of the week. Their burritos, nachos, quesadillas, and a variety of tacos are delicious. And once you try this authentic cuisine, you'll become a regular. They also have a salsa bar. And ask about their free live music nights. West Coast Taco Shop, Murfreesboro Pike in Nashville. Get half off now at thegamenashville.com/deals.
When Genesis Diamonds has a sale, you know it's the real deal. And it's happening November 17th through 19th. Our final store-wide sale of the year with deep discounts up to 35% off. This is the big one. The one where they break all the rules. Plus, Genesis selection is nearly double. With designers flying in their entire collections. All on sale. This is the last and best jewelry buying opportunity of the year. Luxury pre-owned Rolexes included. Lab-grown diamonds on sale too. Save up to 35% and get zero interest financing. November 17th through 19th at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs.
Out on the trail this morning, the cool fall air whispered to this old cowboy that fall is here and it's time for football tailgates, bonfires, and hockey nights in Nashville. And when it comes to my adult beverages, you can bet your snakeskin boots that I'm going to be loading my wagon at Red Spirits and Wine. At Red, I can always find what wets my whistle, whether I'm in the mood for a great single-barrel whiskey, a fine bottle of vino, a smooth smoking cigar, or a growler of my favorite craft brew. Red's got you covered when it comes to selection and price, but it's Red's Cracker Jack crew that always gives me the best service and recommendations. Heck, I can tell you all the great things about Red until I'm blue in the face, but I reckon you just need to see the best darn water and depot for yourself. That's Red Spirits and Wine, Highway 70 South and Old Hickory Boulevard, or online at Instagram, Facebook, and redspirits.com.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormonal deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve your quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit our website at coolspringsmd.com.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser Sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
All the big plays.
Rebound, try out in front, and Saros covers it up.
All the big stories.
Andrew Burnett reportedly hired as the next head coach of the Predators.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Comparing goalies to running backs.
46-27 Vanderbilt.
Does this group of players need more?
The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to the Chase and Big Joe Show.
Does your father know you're working here?
It was his idea.
In that case, I'll have a whiskey sour.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The Volunteers have no timeouts, neither does Notre Dame. 4 seconds remain in the game. Holding will be Sexton. Snapping will be Johnson. Attempting the field goal, it will be right at 27 yards. This will be Rob Leonard. The kick is up. The kick is good. No, it is no good. It is no good. It is no good. Tennessee beats Notre Dame 35-34. The Volunteers go home victorious.
5-1063 the game. That's how it sounded. Joe will tell you more about that as we have a little cheers on a TV themed Thursday. Chase McKay, Big Joe Dubin with you. So when was that?
That was this day in 1991. And so Tennessee went to Notre Dame. Notre Dame got out to, I think it was a 31-7 lead, and Tennessee came back and wins the game 35-34. It is, I think, the greatest, it's the greatest comeback in Tennessee Vols history, but it was, for those that went to the game in South Bend, I mean, it was cold, and Tennessee was out of it, and they came back and won the game. And, friends that went to the game were just like, it was a spiritual moment because it happened at Notre Dame. Notre Dame was a great football team then. Tennessee was a pretty good team as well. But the fact that Tennessee was down 31-7, they're going up 34-7, they block a field goal, they run it back for a touchdown, and they just kept going on. And so it's the greatest comeback. So, we were asking earlier, what's the greatest comeback for your football team ever? I mean, there's been a lot, or your favorite team, whatever sport it is, but that day was a magical day. And I still think, and I'll get arguing, that's fine, besides the 98 national championship game and beating Alabama last year, that might be the greatest Tennessee football win ever. And you could argue me, and that's fine, 615-737-1025. But I really think you take those two games out of it, I think that's the greatest Tennessee football win ever, because it was at the time, and Notre Dame was ranked so high, and Tennessee went up there. And just, if they would have won the game 21-20 and, all that, and had the lead and been ahead most of the game, different narrative, different story. But the fact they were down 31-7 and Notre Dame was going to go up 34-7, they blocked the field goal. I think it was Floyd Miley, I think it's who it was, that got the ball, ran it down the sidelines and scored. But, yeah, I mean, it was an unbelievable moment if you were a Tennessee football fan.
So was that John Ward?
That was John Ward.
That's what I thought. But I could. It sounded different. I don't know if it was the quality or what it was, but because I think he was unsure of what was, if it had gone in or not.
Well, Notre Dame had a chance to win at the end of the game, and he was, I guess, I read the article, he was on the far end of the press box, so he didn't have a good angle, and heck, the field goal was like 20 yards, and the Notre Dame guy missed it, and Tennessee wins the game. And just the jubilation and elation on Johnny Major's face after that game, and everything that happened. But the fact, Chase, if it had been versus Duke or Kansas State, I mean, it still would have been a great win. But the fact that it happened against Notre Dame in Notre Dame, where Paul Hornung took the Heisman Trophy away from Johnny Majors in 1956, a lot of demons were slayed that day within the Tennessee football program, including Johnny Majors' redemption, when he should have won the Heisman Trophy in 56, which was still one of the biggest rip-offs ever in the Heisman Trophy. Peyton behind him was pretty close, but Johnny Majors. Paul Hornung won the Heisman Trophy in 1956, Chase.
Yeah.
Guess what Notre Dame's record was that year?
I don't know.
2-8.
Oh.
And Paul Hornung won the Heisman Trophy, and Majors had a fantastic year, and the Vols had a winning season, and he got ripped on the Heisman Trophy.
Now you're opening this up to all sports, right?
All sports,
Not just college football. Yeah, because I know Vikings fans are going to call in and talk about last year.
Sure, they should.
When they were down 33-0 and come back in the largest comeback in NFL history.
Well,
that was wild.
Well, I mean, the Titans franchise has, when Buffalo beat them in the playoffs in the 92 season, to come back with Frank Reich up in Rich Stadium, and that was – I remember watching the game like, what in the hell's happening? And they just came back, and there was no rhyme or reason that Houston should have lost that football game that day, and they did. And so it was an amazing comeback. So, we love those comeback stories, where you're down 21 points in football or down, 4-0 in hockey. I mean, that happens quite a bit, and you see what goes on there. But it just re-energizes the fan base, and that game in 91 really went a long way in establishing Major's legacy in Tennessee and everything that happened.
I remember talking to Floyd one time, or when Frank Reich got hired with the Colts, and I was like, yeah, Floyd, what do you think? Frank Reich, that's good hiring. He's like, yeah, whatever. He's just like, man. and I'm like, I figured he'd like Frank Reich, and then I thought about it. I'm like, oh
yeah, exactly right. Yeah,
I remember now.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, I forgot what he did to you and what happened. Frank Reich also had in college when he was at Maryland, He led Maryland to like they were down by 4 or 5 touchdowns to Miami. Boomer had gotten hurt, I think, and because he backed up Boomer Esiason in Maryland. I think that's correct. And Frank Wright came in and led them to a 4 touchdown. They were down like 4 touchdowns, and they got the win. So it's crazy, man. And that's why when that popped up on my memories today, 1991, I remember it vividly. And I remember watching that game like, 31-7, they're going to go. And Craig Hentrick was in that game. He was the kicker. And when they blocked the field goal, they hit him and blew his knee out.
Oh, no.
So it's okay that he's not a Tennessee Vols football fan. Because I remember when he came here in 98, he was at the Packers, we interviewed him and said, hey, what's it like being back? He's like, well, I've got a little history with Tennessee. And I was like, oh, you were the kicker in that game. He's like, yep, I sure was.
Would you consider the Doug Flutie Hail Mary is one of the best comebacks of all time against Miami?
Yeah, but it's funny about that game. Flutie should have been flagged on that play. This is weird. Follow me on this. In 84, when Flutie made that Hail Mary pass versus Miami, and that's one of the greatest comeback endings ever.
Orange Bowl?
Yep, Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
In 84, the referees had a thing that year of having your mouthpiece. You had to have your mouthpiece in. If you had your mouthpiece out and they saw it, they'd call a flag. On that play, Flutie's got his mouthpiece. You can see it. It's in his sock. So when he throws that pass, you can see his mouthpiece. And they're like, if they would have saw that mouthpiece in his sock, they would have called a flag, and that play would have been done, over, called back, everything else. But the fact that they didn't see that, and you see it in his sock, pretty evident, and then he threw the pass to Gerald Phelan in the end zone, and they beat Miami.
615-737-1025. Joe wants to weigh in on Chase and Big Joe. Welcome in.
Thanks for having me.
Yep.
I've been trying to share the story about the Notre Dame game for the last 22 years, but this is my story. We were in New York. We went to Mickey Mantle's Sports Bar, and I walked in and said, "Are you showing the Tennessee game?" And the host says, "No, we're showing the Notre Dame game." And so I said, "It is a Tennessee game." So we sat down, and Tennessee, as you know, went down big early. And the host kept coming back and kept saying, "Are you sure you want to see this?" And so we left, and we walked around the block. And about, 2 hours later, we came by a electronics store, and they had TVs in the window. And I saw Tennessee had cut it to almost a tie. We went right back to the bar. We sat at the bar, and I pounded on the bar the rest of the game, and probably the greatest comeback of all times. And the last thing I'll say is, if we're down by less than 6 and we have Andy Kelly as a quarterback, we're in good shape.
Preach! Exactly, Joe.
Thanks for the call, Joe. Appreciate it. That's
absolutely.
A good one.
I'm sorry, Andy Kelly, vastly underrated Tennessee Vols, vastly underrated Tennessee Vols quarterback.
I agree with that. I don't think he gets enough praise. We got some texts on the text line we'll get to coming up next. The greatest comeback, in your opinion, for your team. What do you got? 615-737-1025. We'll do that next. Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Green Day present the Saviors Tour. Live in Nashville.
Welcome to
Geodis Park, Friday, August 30th. Celebrating 30 years of Dookie and 20 years of American Idiot. Green Day with the Smashing Pumpkins, Rancid, and the Linda Lindas. Pre-sale for City Card members is available now at LiveNation.com. Green Day, the Saviors Tour, fueled by Monster Energy.
It's time to celebrate this fall and unleash the beast. Monster Brewing proudly presents to you Beast Unleashed. 0 caffeine, 0 sugar, all the adult beverage fun. The Beast is unleashed with great taste, bold familiar flavors, and 6% alcohol. Go wild with Mean Green, White Haze, Peach Perfect, and Scary Berries. Don't fear the Beast. Enjoy Beast Unleashed at your next tailgate or football party. Drink responsibly. Must be 21 and over.
You know that feeling you get when your team goes big? You can get that same feeling on Zen Sports. When you sign up for a Zen Sports account, you will receive up to a $1,000 no-danger first wager. That's right. When you place your first bet in Zen Sports, you can be reimbursed for the amount of your first bet up to a $1,000 maximum if the bet loses. No other sportsbook will offer you a premier sports betting experience with 24/7 customer support and faster withdrawals like Zen Sports. Zen Sports. Betting just got better. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and up and in Tennessee to bet.
All of us at 102.5 and 106.3 The Game want to recognize our active military, veterans, first responders, and educators with the playing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. Still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the lands of the free and the
Is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Now, your Game Center update.
This is Nick Frazier. Yesterday, Titans rookie quarterback Will Levis spoke to the media and was asked about his new role as a starting quarterback.
No. I mean, the news didn't change anything. It was cool to hear that and to see it become official. But it doesn't change really much how I'm approaching things.
The Titans take on the Tampa Bay Bucks this Sunday at Raymond James Stadium. Other news around the NFL, according to Adam Schefter, Tyson Bagent is set for his 4th start with the Chicago Bears tonight, as Justin Fields is still recovering from his thumb injury. In New York, Daniel Jones has tore his ACL, and Tommy DeVito will step in as the starting quarterback, while Matt Barkley, who was recently signed to the practice squad, will be his backup. And Carson Wentz and the LA Rams have officially agreed to terms yesterday. And in the NHL, the Nashville Predators take on the Winnipeg Jets tonight. Our pregame coverage starts at 6, with puck drop to follow at 7. I'm Nick Frazier, and you're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit theGameNashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 1025 and 106.3.
79-52 Vanderbilt. I think he's got a coach up by Cheryl.
You're going to see more moves. The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Let me talk to you. Talking what's important to Nashville.
Sweet mother of God, what is the holdup?
This is the Chase and Big Joe Show. We're here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hour number 2, Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McKay, Big Joe Dubin, Nick Frazier, a.k.a. Dr. Crane, with you on this Thursday. Hope you're having an awesome day so far. Taking your calls and texts. The best comeback, greatest comeback of all time for your team, in your opinion. And, Joe, we got some good ones. A lot of Vols fans weighing in.
A lot of Vol fans weighing in.
Bradford. Now, I kind of feel like this is a good one. Bradford says, no, Tennessee and Arkansas fumbled with 1 minute left the year they won the national championship. I was at the game. I was 12. It was so loud. I felt bad for Arkansas section, and all the Tennessee fans were throwing cups and toilet paper on those poor souls.
Yeah, here's the deal. Okay, so I was in the end zone shooting that game for Channel 2. So I was in the end zone. You know, Tennessee was coming towards us, Arkansas going away. So I saw Clint Sterner fumble and, you know, put the ball on the ground and recovered. What people failed to realize, Tennessee still had to go down the field and score. And Travis Henry, they couldn't tackle him, and he was just bowling over people, and Tennessee goes down and does it. But it was a close game throughout. Arkansas had a lead the entire game. And, yeah, that, you know, Bradford, you were correct. That's a huge win for them. But I'm going to go back to the Notre Dame game because how far they were behind and who they were playing and what was going on at the time, down 31-7 to come back and win that game. But it's great. I mean, all these Vol fans are weighing in, so it's fantastic. And there's another one about somebody said, you know, the greatest win is the 85 Sugar Bowl over Miami. I get that. That was a huge win because if Miami wins that game, they win the national championship. And Tennessee went down there and just pounded Vinny Testaverde and Michael Irvin and all that, Jerome Brown. That entire team had no idea what hit them in the Sugar Bowl back in on that January 1st, 1986.
6809 says, best comeback ever, 1991 FFL. Bruce beats Bill in the finals. Ask Joe.
Don't read that text line anymore because that guy is a complete buffoon. I'm kidding.
Okay.
That's a good friend of mine.
I figured. Because he's asking about your fight with Porter Wagner in the late 80s. So.
Yeah, Porter took me down. Don't turn your back around Porter. He would have taken you down right then. That's what happened.
Did you read this one already? The Vols 2005 against LSU?
Yeah, that was after Katrina, and it went down there, and I think that was
down 21-0 at the half. I remember this.
Was that Rick Clausen? I think, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Because he had transferred from LSU to Tennessee, and they won. Tennessee won that game.
I think that was one. Ben says Kobe's last game, leading the comeback and dropping 60.
Yeah.
They were down by a lot most of that game. Kobe scored a majority of the last 20 points. Lakers were also down by a lot. When Kobe dropped 81, they came back and won.
Yeah, that was good. You remember the Monday night game when Peyton beat the Buccaneers? Remember we had Rondé Barber in studio?
Yeah.
And said, what's the one game that just really still bugs you to this day? And he's like Peyton Manning on Monday Night Football when we had the win, and Peyton led that football team back, and they beat us down in Tampa Monday Night Football.
Yep. I mean, I guess for the Titans, it has to be the Music City Miracle, right? I mean, even though that wasn't like a tremendous comeback, it was just that play. You know,
well, I mean, they were down. Yeah, I mean, Buffalo that was a weird game because if he was going to call the ref was going to blow the whistle for a sack, and he didn't. And then Vince just took off, and that was amazing game.
That was like Vince Young's welcome to the NFL game.
Yeah,
like that put him on the map. I think that won him Rookie of the Year.
It did. I mean, that was they were down 21-0. They had no chance of winning that game at all, and they came back. So it's a game that shows you that you got to play the full 60 until the whistle sounds when there's zeros on the clock. And Tennessee came back and won that game because of Vince, and that was weird, Chase, because that's like we saw how good Vince Young could have been. And it just never got past that, and for whatever reasons you want to put out there. But there were times where Vince electrified Nissan Stadium.
Oh, there were. Yeah, look, I don't think Vince Young gets enough credit. You know, I've been one of those that I've criticized him before, and that and I think a lot of that. I think a lot of the reason that Titans fans will hate on Vince Young is because of the disappointment that you didn't get more. That he didn't become the next Steve McNair, because the script was so perfect that Steve was a mentor to him, and like they loved Steve and looked up to him, and that he was going to take over, even though it didn't work out the way that Floyd and others had wanted it to, where Steve would be here and Vince would back him up, and then it would be kind of a changing of the guard, but that Vince would then be, the next big thing for the Titans and league MVP and, win Super Bowls and all that. And so I think that's what it is, but he had some good times for sure. At bad times, but he had good times too. And that's going to be one of those what ifs
Right.
For sure, for a long time.
Amy from Arkansas, but the greatest comeback, says, hey, thanks for ruining my morning, bringing up Clint freaking Sterner. That was 1998, 25
Former
years
Nashville
ago.
Cat Clint Sterner.
Former Dallas Cowboy Clint Sterner.
Yep.
Because Jerry Jones in Arkansas and that connection. And it's funny, I've listened to Clint tell that story all the time. He's like, that just burns him forever. But he said, it's funny, he was like, Tennessee fans have been really nice to me since that day. And I was like, I bet they have. That goes on. But that was an unbelievable game, too, as well. I mean, that was, Tennessee loses that game, they don't go to the national championship. And then it was something else, and then they win. But, again, go back to that Notre Dame game, the comeback for Vol fans. I just remember that day, just Tennessee fans around town. I didn't go to the game, but I was watching with a bunch of Tennessee fans, and down 31-7, they were like, oh, God, here we go, Majors, what's going on? And the fact they just rallied back and won that football game was an amazing moment. And I'm not the biggest Tennessee Vols football fan. I just like football.
Like the history.
I love the history. And that was a special moment.
This is a good one. Ben, Cumberland City. Not my team, but Reggie Miller, 8 points in 9 seconds.
Ooh, and then talking garbage to Spike Lee on the bench.
That was fantastic.
Dude,
you score 8 points in 9 seconds, you can talk as much trash as you want.
I don't, what's really weird, we talk about things we'll never see again, like Joe DiMaggio's hit streak will never happen. I don't think we'll ever see that again. I mean, just the precision of Reggie Miller in that game. And that was a playoff game, if I remember correctly, versus the Knicks, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And Miller, I mean, that was unbelievable, because I think I was watching that live, and to see what he did and rallied the Pacers back was something else. And, man, he's a guy, we talk about deserving a championship. We talk about Chris Carter and Barkley, but Reggie Miller's at the top, a guy, and Dan Marino. But Reggie Miller should be included in that list of the guys that probably deserve to win a championship and never did.
What about this one? This is a good one from Colin. Vandy baseball down 8-5 against Tennessee in 2003. Worth Scott hits a grand slam to send the Vandy boys to Hoover. Kick starts the Tim Corbin era.
It does. And, when we have Corbin on, we'll ask about that, because Worth Scott, what's funny, I played softball with him the next year and on an awful softball team, and we talked about that. He was hitting like 180, and Corbin's like, hey, I need you to go win. He's like, me? Tim's like, yeah, you can win it. One swing, we win the game, and on. And he's like, okay. And he goes in, and he just tattoos a grand slam, and that was 20 years ago. And then Worth Scott knocks it out there, and the next year he's playing softball with me in Shelby Park. I was like, man, I'm so sorry that your life has come to this. But, hey, you're forever in Vandy lore, so good for you.
Coming up next, we'll get back into the Titans and Will Levis. Obviously, the hot topic around the league and around here, that Will Levis is the starting quarterback, and Ryan Tannehill spoke yesterday and plans to support him. We'll talk about that more next and look ahead to the Bucks here on the Chase and Big Joe Show. 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Want to tell you, too, you can tune in to 93.3 Classic Hits this Saturday as MTSU kicks off at 2:30. We'll have pregame for you at 1:30, and they take on FIU with Big Joe and Chip Walters. Coverage also available on the 93.3 Classic Hits app and 93.3classichits.com. The men's basketball team also in action tonight against Stephen F. Austin on 93.3 Classic Hits with our coverage beginning at 6. 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Green right, Fox 2 run, double catch. He takes you inside the huddle through the eyes of a quarterback.
Wide 85, take!
Catch ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck every Tuesday at noon as he breaks down the big stories in the NFL.
Buffalo, maybe Miami.
And with the Tennessee Titans.
The Titans might be like, we're interested in a 1-year, $1 million contract.
Tim Hasselbeck is on Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
In 1972, a Nashville family business story began when Bill and Beverly Finley founded Volunteer Hose and Gasket. 3 generations have grown the business into the local industry leader, supplying just about anything to anybody, from the largest of contractors to your neighbor that mows his own yard. Over 1 million items in stock: belts, belting accessories, gaskets, gauges, hose fittings, hydraulics, industrial hoses, lubricants, sealing products, tubing, fire protection, and more. All at volunteerhose.net. If Volunteer Hose and Gasket doesn't have it, then you probably don't need it. Call them at 615-242-0461.
Vanderbilt Commodore fans, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, along with 94.9 The Fan, is your new home for broadcast of games and the Commodore Hour on Monday evenings. Catch all the action for football, men's and women's basketball, and baseball all season long. Go Doors!
Teddy's Tavern, downtown's newest bar with an old Nashville feel, is conveniently located across the street from Bridgestone Arena and just blocks away from the pedestrian bridge. Get a taste of the new brunch menu to fuel your Titans Day pride on game day. Pre-game specials from 9 a.m. till kickoff when the Titans play at home include 2-for-1 draft beers, mimosas, and Bloody Marys. Teddy's Tavern is where you want to be before every Titans home game, so come downtown early and meet me at Teddy's.
Genesis Diamond's biggest and last sale of the year is coming November 17th through 19th. It's an extraordinary event with savings of 20, 30, up to 35% store-wide. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets. Nothing's held back for this once-a-year, 3-day store-wide sale. Acclaimed designers will be flying in with expanded collections and special pricing. Plus, get 0% interest financing. Luxury pre-owned Rolexes are also included. Lab-grown diamonds, too. Discounts up to 35%. Genesis Diamonds. November 17th through 19th only. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 102.5 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Blue Raider football lives on 93.3 Classic Hits.
Hey, it's Big Joe. Join Chip Walters and me as MTSU returns home to Floyd Stadium this Saturday. It's our salute to service as the Blue Raiders take on FIU. Our coverage begins at 2.
Your home for the Blue Raiders is 93.3 Classic Hits. Sports Talk, the next generation. You're listening to The Chase and Big Joe Show.
Make it so.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
To your decision, with the quarterbacks, are you able to pull anything from your previous experience with the Brady situation? Obviously, it's different, but can you pull anything from that for this situation?
I would say that whoever the quarterback is, going against this defense is, we'll have to be ready no matter who is out there playing. Will, Ryan, Malik, the scheme that we've seen from these guys is, disguises, and they do a fantastic job. So, again, we're going to prepare all those guys as starters. Will's going to be the starting quarterback, and, it's just about making sure that we're doing everything now to prepare to take care of the football, to execute, to try to get some X plays. It's hard to continue to drive it and stay in third manageable. And then, they've been really, really good in the red zone.
Mike Vrabel yesterday, chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. A lot of you still weighing in on greatest comebacks, so keep those coming. We'll get back to those. But, okay, and this is not me being really critical. This is kind of tongue-in-cheek when I say this, but I know why he doesn't do it, but like when he's asked about the Patriots and playing and his playing days and Brady and stuff, I do wish he'd give us a little bit more, because I do think that you have some takeaways here. I mean, it's a different time, it's a different situation, but he lived it. Like, he lived going through Drew Bledsoe, this veteran quarterback that they had, gone to a Super Bowl with, and was, the guy there in New England, and then here's this 6th-round pick that couldn't even start all the games at Michigan that is all of a sudden taking over. I mean, there's definitely some experience that you can pull from that, and he never wants to go down that road. Like, and part of the reason, and I do give him some credit for this, he doesn't want to make it about him. It's about the team. It's about this team. It's not about Mike Vrabel, the player. But I thought it was a good question by Teron, and he never, ever since he's been here, anytime you bring up anything from his playing career, he doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to touch it, and he changes the subject. But
look, man, I
wish he would have answered that a little bit differently.
He won 3 Super Bowls. I would wear those Super Bowl rings everywhere because you know what? You say, I want one of those. Well, have a seat. Let me tell you how you can get one of these. Well, you got to have Tom Brady. But, I mean, just the work and the discipline and the camaraderie and the teamwork. I mean, you saw that Man in the Arena thing on ESPN Plus about Brady, and Vrabel's a big part of that. And I do. I mean, and I know you don't want to be pompous and look at me, but at some point you got to be a little braggadocious and say, look, I got to this place. Here's how you guys are better than athletes than I am. Because I tell you right now, he'll probably believes that he's got better athletes than him. He's like, but you know what? I worked, and we believed in each other, and we didn't quit, and we fought, and we fought, and we fought, and we got there. I totally agree with you. The fact you bring up your experiences and what you've done. And look, I know these guys on the team are 22, 23, and the first time we won the Super Bowl was, 01, 03, and 04, and they were young, but these guys aren't stupid. They can go on YouTube, and they can watch, and they can see the history, and they know the history of, I hope they do, of who've won Super Bowls and the legacy of Brady and Vrabel being part of those great Patriots teams. And, even the 07 Super Bowl, they lost to Eli Manning, and Vrabel almost sacks Manning on that play when he throws down to David Tyree and makes a great catch. But I think some points you have to say, look, here's why I am the way I am, and here's how I got here, and here's what it's going to take for you to get there. And I think that's something that Vrabel has that probably 28 other coaches in the NFL don't have.
Yeah, and here's the other thing too. Like you look at his numbers as a player. He's not a Pro Football Hall of Famer. He's obviously in the Patriots Hall of Fame, but he was pretty damn good. He had 57 sacks in his career I knew you were going to say that. In 200 games. Obviously, he had the 10 receiving touchdowns that they put him in on special plays and stuff. So he had a very, very good career as a player, and I feel like that's why a lot of guys like playing for him, because they know that, especially defensive players, because they know that, hey, there's something I can learn from that. But it's always fascinated me. And I've wondered too, like if you're sitting next to him at a bar, would he talk about it more? Like if Teron sat down next to him at the bar and looked at him and said, hey, how much of the Brady, like when you guys transition to Brady, can you pull some experiences from that to use for this as now the head coach, that maybe things Bill did or Bill didn't do, and how he communicated with you?
Well, never apologize for your success. I mean, who does he have to? I mean, he lived it, he earned it, he worked it. It wasn't given to him, and so that that's a frustrating thing about coaches who played at a high level. We talk about this with Mike Singletary when he was the coach of the 49ers, and he flipped out because he can't get those guys to play the same way he did. And you look at like a Mike Munchak the same way. It's got to be frustrating if you're a Hall of Famer or play at that high level when you're coaching these guys and they don't play at the same level you did, or give the same commitment and dedication. Forrest Gregg was a great coach. He played for the Packers. He took the Bengals to the Super Bowl in '81. He was the same way. He was like, it's tough because you know what it takes to win, and you see guys not making that commitment, and it's frustrating because you're their head coach and you're supposed to pull it out of them. You can't do it. So that's why a lot of these coaches aren't Hall of Fame coaches, don't really become great coaches, because of the simple fact of how they played the football game, and their guys aren't playing that same way.
Chase, do you and Joe potentially think that Vrabel is kind of intentionally not answering these Patriot-oriented questions in regards to the rumors potentially with Robert Kraft and him? Because, like, if you think about it, like, a lot of the questions recently that have been, regarded to the Patriots hasn't really answered those in full thought.
Yeah, well, and that, it's a good point, and Ben brings that up on our text line as well, but he's never really answered him either. So while maybe, yes, that is part of his thought process right now, he's never really wanted to talk about his playing career.
He never has. No, I mean, he really never has. And even when the Patriots came here for that joint practice in 2019, a lot of questions were asked about, hey, remember, he's like, we had great success, great times, worked hard, but, now I'm the coach of the Titans. And I get all that. I'm the coach of what's happening here and what's happening now. But we don't know what he tells the guys in the meeting room, talking in the locker room and things like that. It's a different thing. But I don't think that weighs – that's a good question. I don't think that weighs anything on his mind of what he does now.
So with this game in particular, the injury report is out, and it's, once again, it's a long one for the Titans. Azeez Al-Shaair didn't practice. Daniel Brunskill didn't practice. Treylon Burks, Sean Murphy-Bunting. Obviously, Nicholas Petit-Frere is going to miss some time. I mean, you're putting Will Levis in there. It's going to be his third start. The offensive line, I mean, I'm surprised they haven't called one of us yet. I mean, that's kind of where they're at, like, on this, that they don't have a lot to work with. Brunskill is playing through it, essentially. And we know his deficiencies, even when he's healthy. But I still think, with all that said, that this is a game that they have the opportunity to win. Tampa Bay is not a great football team either. And I know they're coming off a kind of a heartbreaker against Houston, but I feel like this is one that if they go down to Tampa and can win this game, it really could right some wrongs for them, and who knows what could happen with Levis at QB.
Yeah, can we just go ahead and just get Burks out of here? I mean, he's just I'm glad he's got the concussion, and I hope he's well, but let's just go ahead. I think the Titans should just go on and move on from him. That was a pick that what do you call that? Just like a reflex pick. Like, we lost a receiver. We got to get a receiver. Who's the top receiver right now? And that Burks guy from Arkansas. Okay, it was great. Fine in Arkansas, but he was not one that's going to like scare the team or anything. And then just move on from that. But it's just I totally agree. You go down, you beat Tampa with Baker. Last time Baker Mayfield played the Titans, he lit them up pretty well, but that was a couple of years ago. But that's it is a must. It is a game they can win, because next week you got Jacksonville. Jacksonville's got a bye week, so they're going to be well rested and ready to go. But you know what? That doesn't mean anything in this day and age. You go down, you still got to play the game on Sunday, and so Titans win those two games. They're back at 5-5 and looking pretty good.
Yeah, I mean it would be huge.
It would
I don't
be
feel like
huge.
They're going to go beat huge.
It'd be
I don't feel like
huge.
they're going to. I don't feel like they're going to go beat Jacksonville, but
okay.
I've seen crazier things
Well,
happen.
I will, Dr. Crane, can you cut this clip and send it to Mr. Vrabel?
You got it.
We'll get it to him. And
I'll make sure to send it on his fax line.
You send my. Hey, number one, let's just be honest. You don't have to cut the clip to send it to Mr. Vrabel. I think he finds stuff out.
Yeah. Well, we don't listen to anything that's going on.
Any coach or player that says they don't listen, they may not be listening right then and there, but they find stuff out.
Of course they listen. I always love that, because there's a great book, I think I've mentioned this, called Patriot Reign, about Bill Belichick. In the 2002, a guy from the Boston Globe spent time with Belichick and talked about, Belichick said, I don't read the paper, I don't listen. And they every one of them read the paper, listen to the radio, everything that goes on. They know exactly what's going on. And so when they always say that, I always laugh like, okay, I understand that. But they have no idea.
Of course. That's how it always seems to be. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Keep your texts coming on the greatest comebacks, a lot of them coming through, so we'll get to more of those. And, speaking of the Titans, you can join Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Derek Mason at Twin Peaks in Madison this Sunday from 9:30 to 11:30. That's our pregame show, the award-winning pregame show. They'll break down the Titans' Week 10 matchup against the Bucs and give you the latest updates before the game. The award-winning NFL pregame show is presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment and the Beast Unleashed.
Sometimes it's good to be loud.
This is the NFL.
Especially when you're Jared Stillman.
That's where we are.
He's not afraid to say what's on his mind each and every day.
That was embarrassing. I don't care if you're a rookie. That was embarrassing.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. I mean, where else are the scenic views as good as your view of the game? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Regular season hoops are heating up. The NBA's inaugural in-season tournament is tipping with group play across the country. Catch the action Tuesdays and Fridays all month long at the #1 sports bar.
People of all ages can experience spine pain. What hurts the most is what it does to your life, making simple activities feel like an uphill battle. Houston Clinic Orthopedics and their team of specialists aim to get you back to your active and enjoyable life. Let Houston Clinic Orthopedics bring lasting relief if you're suffering from any of the following: spinal stenosis, herniated discs, sciatica, degenerative disc disease, and more. To experience world-class orthopedic care, visit tn.houston.com, where experience matters.
Hey home buyers, TJ Anderson here with More Great Homes. Located just steps from the White Bridge Shopping and Dining District of Nashville's Hillwood neighborhood, 80 Brookwood Terrace offers 2 homes with over 4,300 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 4.5 baths, formal office, media room, a 2-car garage, and a 1-year builder warranty. Contact my team today at tjandersonhomes.com for more info. Want your home listing to be seen and heard by home buyers? Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why we are referred by clients so often. TJ Anderson Homes at Benchmark Realty, office number 615-432-2919.
Experience the thrill of gaming glory at Harrah's Casino and Hotel, just a little over 2 hours northwest of Nashville off I-24. Call 1-800-HARRAHS and reserve your room today to indulge in top-tier casino gaming, appetizing dining experiences, and their cutting-edge sports book. As a Caesar Rewards destination, every moment you spend at Harrah's Metropolis earns you points across the entire Caesars empire. It's your time to win with Harrah's Metropolis. Must be 21 or older to gamble. No one to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-888-BETS-OFF.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
iPhone 15 Pro on Verizon.
This holiday, trade in any iPhone in any condition for the new iPhone 15 Pro with titanium, Apple TV 4K, and 6 months of Apple One. All on us with unlimited Ultimate. Act now. Visit Verizon.com. 6 months of Apple One, then $10 per month. $999.99 device payment or full retail purchase with new smartphone line on unlimited Ultimate plan required. Less $1,000 trade-in/promo credit applied over 36 months. Promo credit ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. 0% APR. Apple TV 4K and Apple One offers require eligible phone purchase with activation on unlimited Ultimate. Additional terms and conditions apply. Visit Verizon.com for details.
We're all over social media. Give us a follow on Twitter at 1025 The Game. I'm at Chase on Game.
Yeah, catch me on MySpace at Big. We still have MySpace?
No, we're not. I told you.
Twitter. I had Big Joe on the go.
Chase and Big Joe are on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. I have to tell you, Joe, during the commercial break, I've been reading your Facebook posts.
Oh, okay.
the pictures of the CMA.
So every year I post it. By the way, good call, Dr. Crane on The Sopranos right there on our TV theme Thursday. So, every year after the CMAs, I would always post an after party, what went on during, before, and after. It was, it's all fabricated. It's fun. We have a good time with that. So one year I'm on TV and I'm doing the red carpet for Channel 4. And I'm like, hey, here's what's going on. And then Tom Randalls is like, hey, I was reading your post from last year about all the fights you got into at the CMA award. He goes, you going to get more fights tonight? And I'm like, did he really just ask me that on live TV? And I was like, oh, Tom, you never know what happens at the CMAs. And, and I was like, oh, my goodness. But people, it's crazy, man. I've probably 20, 25 people like, hey, can't wait till you post your story. I was like,
I look forward to it every year.
So it's mixed with old Nashville and new Nashville. And you go back and read that stuff. Some of those iconic people that I put in those stories have passed away, like Tom T. Hall. Yep. And the Hager twins and Ralph Emery. I mean, Porter Wagner. I mean, those guys were to me growing up, Ralph Emery was it. I mean, he was everything to a lot of us that grew up in Nashville in the late 70s and 80s. Ralph Emery was our idol. You know, when he passed away, I wrote a story about him, and his son reached out to me and said, hey, thank you. You know, all too often we don't understand the impact that our father had on people because he was our dad. And I said, man, you have no idea what Ralph Emery meant to a lot of us growing up, because you'd get up in the morning, you'd watch the Ralph Emery show before school. Mm-hmm. And it was, you know, the Judds were on there, Lori Morgan, Kenny Starr. I mean, Tom Grant to me is one of the most iconic people I've ever met in my life. And, you know, it was the thing growing up where we loved it. You'd see Ralph Emery like, oh, my God, that's Ralph Emery. So that's the thing that hurts about kind of the new Nashville now, is that a lot of people won't have that memory to take with them for so long. But thankfully I do, and a lot of people who are listening in our audience have those memories of the Ralph Emery show and growing up here in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know what Castner Knot is either.
Right?
I laughed at that one. That one makes me laugh. And the Nashville Palace, like all these places.
They're great.
You know, like we'll joke like you and I are going to go have dinner at the Cooker.
Yeah, right. Like, you know, another one that gets people is Rio Bravo. Rio Bravo was the destination point for happy hour in the 90s.
Yep.
And then one day I remember somebody coming and say, hey, Rio Bravo's closing down. I'm like, what? Why? And then it just, you know, just things evolve and move on. But Rio Bravo was
what's there
wonderful.
now?
I have no idea.
Houston's is that pizza place. Right?
Yeah, I don't.
West End.
I don't know. And there was Rio Bravo in Cool Springs, but the Rio Bravo in West End was the meeting spot. I mean, that's where you go to meet.
There was TGI Fridays on Elliston Place. There was Rio Bravo. There was the Cooker. There was Houston's. That was like all in that general vicinity, like West End, Elliston Place, and it's just crazy. Like half the people that are listening to this right now are going like, I don't know any of what
right.
those are.
Yeah, I mean, the Cooker on West End was fantastic. The Cooker on Murfreesboro Road was fantastic. The Cooker in Hermitage was fantastic. The Cooker in Hermitage is always a special place because when my beautiful daughter was 2 years old, we went there to eat, and she sat in my lap. She was 3, and she says, I'll never forget, she's like, Daddy, I don't feel good. I'm like, what's wrong, honey? And she puked right all over my face and my shirt and everything. Then she says, I feel better. I'm like, okay. And I'm covered in bread, cheese, drink, whatever it was, in the middle of the Cooker. So that's fine. Parents know if your kids throw up on you, it's a badge of honor.
I hope you told that story at her wedding.
Oh, I tried to, but I was cut off. No, I did tell that story, yes.
This Nashville history lesson.
Right.
Presented by the Cooker.
And Castner Knot.
And Castner Knot.
To go down there, yes.
Then it became Profits. And
I'm sure your grandma took you to Castner Knot, right?
Oh, yeah. That's why I laughed at that, because there was one in the Bellevue Mall. There was one in Green Hills. But, yeah, I half my wardrobe growing up came from Castner Knot.
Keith on the text line says Chase McCabe is the new Shotgun Red.
The what?
You're the new Shotgun Red. You don't remember him?
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So I was trying to – thank you. I was trying to think of what that puppet's name was. Because the original Ralph Emery show I didn't watch, but he was on TNN. Like,
Correct.
He did a show on TNN from the Opryland Hotel. And I got to meet him one time because we were there. My grandfather's company had a meeting or something at the Opryland Hotel, and he was doing a show. And so I had watched it, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever to get to meet Ralph Emery. And I was asking where Shotgun Red was, and he was in a case. So that's where he was.
But aren't we all in a case at some point in our lives? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, case of emotion.
You're the new Shotgun Red. I love that. Yeah, that was I wasn't a big fan of Shotgun Red. It was just, I don't know. Well, now you could never. He would now. He'd be
he
called.
Could not have the name Shotgun Red.
It would just be Red. That would all it would be now with that. But no, I mean it was. You know, there's a lot. I know a lot of people have moved here, and I get that. And you know, you gravitate towards the new people moved here, and you're making new histories. But there's still a lot of us that grew up here. I mean, Dr. Crane grew up here. You grew up here. I grew up here. Stillman grew up here. I mean, it's just kind of. we remember what it was, and, you got to kind of embrace what it is going forward. But in no way, shape, or form should we forget about what happened or how Nashville became Nashville and how it became, we all fell in love with it.
I'm curious if, this is a rabbit hole we've gone down.
Fine.
But in about 4 years, there's going to be a new stadium on the East Bank. And I have been kind of going through this process already whenever I've gone to a Titans game since everything got done. That's like, hey, we're going to build a new stadium. And I'm trying to, look, is Nissan Stadium the nicest stadium in the world? No. I mean, they cut some corners, and, I think if they had done things a little bit differently, or if they could go back and do things a little bit differently back then, they would have. But everybody was so excited to get an NFL team. It's like, let's just do it. Let's get the stadium. But, my dad and I went to those games, and he's not here anymore. So I don't get to do that again.
Right.
And so for me, like, even though, the Nissan Stadium, the Titans era, the Preds era, I would consider that new Nashville as that launched new Nashville. For me, there's still going to be some nostalgia of, I go to the new spot and I'll look at the parking lot and go, man, I had a lot of good times.
Yeah.
And my
that's
kids will look at me
fantastic.
like, Dad, why were you hanging out in parking lots? I'll be like, well.
Well, there's a reason, young man. No, I totally agree with that. There's a good friend of mine that's a Browns fan, and he's like, the old Cleveland Municipal Stadium compared to what you see now was like an outhouse. I mean, it was awful. I mean, it was terrible. He goes, but that was ours. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So Nissan Stadium is yours for all the memories you had with your father and friends or whomever, and nobody can ever take that away from you. And so, you should be emotional over that stadium when it's gone. Absolutely, you should, because of all the great things that have happened there. I told you, growing up here, the fact that you see Green Bay or the Raiders or the Steelers or the Cowboys coming to my hometown, that was never a thought growing up in the 70s. Never a thought that would happen in my hometown growing up here. And the fact that it does, and it happens 8-9 times a year, these teams that come in here. Hell, even when the Houston Texans come in here, it's still like, man, this is pretty cool. That I never thought I'd see this growing up, but the fact it's happening now and some great, great memories inside that stadium have happened, it's special. So you should never forget that.
Well, and what was cool, too, when I went to the Falcons game a few weeks ago, and they come out with the Oiler uniform on, for me, obviously it was honoring the Houston Oilers, but for me, when I saw that, I thought back to December 26, 1998 at Vanderbilt Stadium, my first NFL game, the last game ever as the Oilers, the Tennessee Oilers, against the Minnesota Vikings. And, like, that's immediately where I went, of watching Chris Sanders and Steve McNair and D. Mace and, Eddie George, obviously. And it's like that, even though there wasn't that connection, and that's one reason, that's the big reason why Bud Adams changed the name there was the outcry from the fan base here of like, hey, that's not ours. We want something that's ours.
Right.
But, like, I will always remember that because that's my first NFL game.
Yeah.
And so it's like that was kind of the nostalgia for me. But, like, even, places like Greer Stadium. Like, Greer Stadium needed to be replaced 25 years before, probably 2 years after it opened. It needed to be replaced. But I saw my first baseball game at Greer Stadium.
Yeah.
I grew up at Greer Stadium. So when that place closed, and luckily Dad and I went to that game, that was nostalgia. That was sad for me because it was like, that's history. And then obviously First Horizon is a, classy facility and awesome facility. And so it's not that, I recognize it as, okay, none of this is not needed.
Right.
But it's, it's the memories.
Well, that's it. Greer Stadium for me, in 1987, one of my good friends was the bullpen catcher for the Sounds. So we'd go over there and, we'd get great seats. I'm sitting there talking to Rob Dibble, Norm Charlton, Chris Sabo. I mean, it was just – so when I think of Greer Stadium, I think of moments like that. But I'll tell you a moment where it really hit me what's going on was the Preds Stanley Cup run in 2017 and the watch party in downtown Nashville. That was before the NFL. And, that's a lot. People forget, that's a big reason the NFL draft came here. They saw the video of how well the Preds put that together, how well they did that in downtown Nashville. And that was another moment being down there and just seeing so many people. You know what? We're so split politically in our world, which is awful. But during that run, we were all like one. It was weird, and it was wonderful, and it was fantastic. And we all were supporting the Predators. We wanted to win. We're all downtown, and there's hundreds of thousands of people downtown Nashville, and this town lost its mind. And I'm like, man, this is cool. I mean, we don't come back from this in a good way, in a really good way. So the Preds deserve a lot of credit for getting this city unified, fired up, and going forward.
A ton of credit. And by the way, Saturday they finally return home. They'll take on Arizona. They're going to honor Ryan O'Reilly in his 1,000th game, so get there a little bit early so you can be a part of that, which will be very, very cool. We got a couple of calls on our nostalgia we'll get to coming up next, plus celebrity birthdays. Tune in to 94.9 The Fan this Saturday for Vanderbilt football. The Commodores will kick off at 11 on the road against South Carolina. Pregame coverage at 9:30. Coverage is also available on the 94.9 The Fan app and 949thefan.com.
When you want all the
going in and the score, the blast, the score. He risks one, they score.
And don't forget the
oh, what a stop! Sliding across to make the save. Backhander, nice stop.
When all you want is Smashville, we have you covered. Hear every Predators game right here. We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Family Leisure's Ultimate Game Room Sale is back.
Huge discounts up to 50% off on all kinds of game room furniture and accessories.
Slate pool tables from Brunswick and Legacy pool tables. Prices starting as low as $14.99 installed.
Perfect for Christmas.
Family Leisure has huge savings on massage chairs. Full body massage chairs starting at only $9.99. 4D massage chair more than half off at $29.99.
Family Leisure guarantees to beat anyone's advertised home theater seating prices. Shuffleboards, foosball, and air hockey tables on sale as well.
That's Family Leisure at both locations, Franklin and Antioch.
Need cash for the holidays or want to be credit card debt free for the new year? Call Loan Pronto today. Their Express Equity line of credit can get you $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 in as little as 5 days. Willie Donick here. Listen up. You've got a ton of equity in your home, and Loan Pronto can help turn that equity into cash to put it to use. You can access up to 95% of your home's value. Use the money to pay off all your credit cards or pay off personal loans. Start the home improvement project you've been looking for. You can get the money you need now and still keep your primary mortgage intact, so your 3% rate is protected. Call right now, 615-499-5780. Get the holiday cash you need or pay off all those credit cards. 615-499-5780 or go online at loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
It's electric in Smashville. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 429, has a new path to a dignified career. Local 429 is accepting applications for the highest skilled electricians and linemen and is providing the best training in Middle Tennessee. They are the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 429. Call them at 615-889-4429 or go online to ibew429.org. IBEW Local 429, your proud seventh man since the beginning. Go Preds!
Blue Raider fans, your home for all the MTSU football and men's basketball action is on 93.3 Classic Hits and 95.1 Classic Hits in the borough. Catch the action all season long with Chip Walters on the call. Go Blue Raiders!
Today's world is filled with many things that can push us to our limit. An upcoming move should not add to that list. Hey, it's Caroline Fenton. And when you choose Black Tie Moving like I did, you get a highly awarded Inc. 500 company. From the free estimate by a local professional moving consultant to the red carpet treatment, they take the stress out of the process. So visit blacktiemoving.com or call 615-437-8401. Mention GAME, G-A-M-E, to score 10% off your next move. Let Black Tie Moving make your next move the best move of your life.
Hey, if you missed our show, you can get it on demand. Just search for the Chase and Big Joe Show podcast on Apple, Spotify, or any podcast platform.
Chase and Big Joe are on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Chase and Big Joe, presented by Regal Realty Group, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, Little Sanford and Son.
Yeah.
It was so funny. I was with Ricky last night. We were talking about Red Fox, actually. So it's kind of ironic to play that.
Can you tell us a Red Fox joke on the air?
No, I like my job, and Bud Walters likes his license. So.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
So I don't think I can do that. Get your silly underdog picks in. I know, Joe, you got to work on that.
Oh, is that today?
After Joe, it is today.
Oh, love
your
it.
chance to win weekly prizes. You can play at thegamenashville.com or the 102.5 The Game app as we approach Week 11 of college football and Week 10 of the NFL. Silly underdog picks presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. Before we get to celebrity birthdays, let's head to the phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Jerry wants to weigh in on our nostalgia here. Jerry, what's up?
Good morning, fellas. When Nissan Stadium was first built, and they had their first inaugural season, back then we had colored tickets that were tore off on the end. And every time I went through the turnstile, I would ask the turnstile person if I could tear my ticket off because I didn't want them torn. And I saved every one of those tickets and had them matted and framed.
Nice.
So even the playoff tickets.
That's well done there.
I don't know. I know one other gentleman that did it because I mentioned to him what I was doing. And he actually was able to get on the field and have his picture made with the Titan emblem, and he put that inside of his matting on his box. But I don't know. I wanted to do that because I'm thinking down the road my grandkids may be proud of me for that.
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah, man. That is fantastic. Good job on that. Way to think about somebody else beside yourself and sharing that memory. Well done.
Yeah. For sure. Thanks, Jerry. In fact, actually, in the radio station, we need to find a place to hang it. There's a frame that has all of that from the inaugural season.
Oh, cool.
I can't remember if Floyd brought that in or where that's from, but definitely cool for sure. And and look, that's another thing. Like working with Floyd and getting close to him. When Nissan's gone, it's like that's a piece of Floyd that's gone. But I think the new stadium will be awesome and will be good and bring all these events, but kind of fun to have a little nostalgia.
That we can afford, it'll be a good time.
Yeah, no. You and I will never go.
Right. We'll just stand there and look from afar.
Man, that's a cool-looking building from the outside. I wonder what it looks like inside.
It'll be something. It'll transform a lot of things in downtown Nashville. It's funny, if you go to Indianapolis, you look what Lucas Oil Stadium does. That's a massive place. But it looks cool. It doesn't take up like half the city, and it's like a giant barn that sits out there. So I'm excited to see what this stadium looks like when it's finally done and completed.
Yes, indeed. But you know what it's time for?
Yes.
Celebrity birthdays.
All right, here we go. November the 9th, 2023. Celebrity Birthdays, America's favorite game show. You got to get it within 2 years, and my computer stopped working. All right.
Okay.
That's even better right there. All right. You doing okay today, Chase?
I'm good. I'm
okay.
Great. How are you?
Great. All right, first birthday up. I'm going to go to my other phone and see if we got this. Oh, here we go. It's working now. JoJo. First birthday, the Incredible Hulk, Lou Ferrigno. How old is Lou Ferrigno today?
I'm going to say he's got to be like 76.
Yeah, this is a tough one. 73.
72.
Nice.
I think, if I remember correctly, is he completely deaf? Or he
might be, but he was still voicing Hulk even for the new movies.
Yeah, legend. Lou Ferrigno, absolute legend. All right, going down here a little bit more. Let's see what we got next is, I don't know this guy. We'll skip over him. Actor Eric Dane portrayed the X-Men character Multiple Man in The Last Stand. Eric Dane. Also on the TV show Euphoria.
42.
36.
51.
Nice.
Singer Nick Lachey from 98 Degrees.
Yeah, was dating Jessica Simpson for a long time.
He was.
He's probably 44 now.
I'm going to go 52.
50.
Oh,
Dr. Crane hitting the outside corners today early. I dig it, brother. Let's see here. Don't know that one. Don't know who that is. Don't know who that is. Good Lord. Rapper Peppa of Salt and Peppa.
Oh.
Get it.
Okay.
Nine. Dr. Crane, almost. So close. Chase, one of your favorites, rapper Scarface of the Ghetto Boys.
49.
53.
53 exactly. Come on,
Wow.
Chase. You should
It's
know that.
not a good day.
3-0 for Dr. Crane. Susan Tedeschi.
It's because you and Greg kept me at Waffle House.
Tedeschi and Trucks, that band. But Susan Tedeschi, how old is she?
I don't know who the hell that is, but
Tedeschi and Trucks, I mean, they're like a southern rock band. They're fantastic. Google it.
65.
I want to go 58.
53. Nice. Now, Chase, you should get this one because this guy sings your favorite song, the thong song, Cisco. How old is Cisco today?
48.
Oh, man, I'm going to go 54.
45.
Ah!
So close. Let's see if we got one more
so
here.
far away.
I got one more. Chase, I got to give you a chance to get on the board. Country singer Chris Lane, who I've never heard of, but
37.
He said 30? I thought he was
37.
So 37.
Oh, 37. Okay. Let's go 34.
39 at the buzzer.
Hey.
Chase McCabe gets on at the buzzer. Dr. Crane wins 3-1. November 9th is not the best day for birthdays. A couple who have passed. Carl Sagan was born on this day. Bob Gibson, the great Hall of Fame pitcher,
nice.
was born this day as well. So that's it. So well done there, Dr. Crane. You win again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good
and
job.
also, when you guys were talking about nostalgia in Nashville, I remember as a kid going to Greer Stadium to watch, Father Ryan play their football games in right field. And before the games,
They did. I forgot about that.
yeah, way back in the day. But before the games, I remember, tailgating in the parking lot, but also going to Gabby's Burgers over right field fence.
It
Still
was.
there.
Also remember kicking the extra point over the right field fence would land on Chestnut Street.
Yeah, it would.
It's true. It happened that way. Henry on the text line, not Hair Metal Henry, actually a good Henry, says, the good news now is you can make new memories for you and your children. You pay it forward because I'm so old. Everything used to be something else. By the way, I love your guys' show. Please keep it up. Thank you, Henry, for the kind words.
We appreciate it. That is for sure. I haven't even looked. Thursday night football tonight.
Awful.
Yeah, who cares? But
Awful.
Carolina,
Bears?
Chicago, yeah, no thanks.
Can
I'll
they
go
not?
to sleep.
I'd rather see Una take on Flat Rock tonight and youth football instead of that disaster of a pro football game tonight.
Yeah,
awful.
Absolutely.
Flat
That
Rock
is going to do it for
Vols,
us,
right?
Flat Rock Vols,
Yeah.
Una Antioch
Nice.
Bears. As we leave you every morning, we want to tell you the guys out there, if you're struggling, having a tough time, 988. That's the phone number. Call that number. That's the suicide mental health line. Talk to somebody. They can do wonders for you. Please reach out to them. Please talk to somebody. As we say every show, we love you, and our world is a better place because you are here.
Amen to that. That will do it for us. Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace coming up next. They'll continue to talk about the Titans and also silly underdog picks at noon. 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every day we are live and local.
It will help them get better players. I'm really excited about this defensive front.
And your source for Nashville sports.
They had missed the playoffs.
Those players may end up being practice squad guys.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.